Hello everyone. So today we are going to solve a new problem which is on Algo Expert and it's all about palindrome check. So we are going to check on this whether a string that is provided to a function is it a palindrome. So the word palindrome means if we reverse a string we should get the exact same string what was an input. So if we say ABA the output should also be ABA. And if we consider a string like ABC, it's not a palindrome because if we reverse it, it will be CBA, which is not exact of what is the input. So we are going to create a function that will tell us whether the provided string is in palindrome or not. So for how we are going to proceed to get this problem solved, Anmol will walk you through what we are going to take as a path of approach to do this question.
Okay, so as you know, palindrome is a very easy problem, and a lot of interviewers ask this question. So first of all, whenever we think about palindrome, the first what we have is to use a reverse. So palindrome is like a value which is same as a reverse of that value. So if we reverse some string, if it is give the same result, we'll say it is a palindrome. So I'm using Python here. So if you are not aware of Python, you can just understand what is the logic they're using, and then you can like rewrite that logic in other languages as well. It will work on other languages. So the first brute force approach anyone can think is I'll take a string. Let's suppose I have a string str a string, and I'm making a check if that value if that string I'm using a brute force approach here right now is equals to reverse of that string dot reverse, and I'm just checking if this is true, then I'm returning true, otherwise I'm returning false. So this is a brute force approach in that I'm just reversing that string and I'm using that string to compare with the original one. If it is equal, I'm returning true. But the problem with this approach is the interviewer won't like happy with this approach. So you have to give them a little bit more like unique, or I can say a
The
better
optimized
complexity,
one, yeah.
optimized version. So here the reverse function have n log n complexity, so it is not optimal. So even we don't have to use the reverse function. So there's a other way in that we can uh, solve this question with the complexity of big of n. Right now the complexity is n log n. So how we can do this? We can do this. We can iterate in a string from the beginning and from the end, and we'll iterate one by one. We'll compare everything one by one. If everything matches, every character matches the first character with the last one, we'll say it is palindrome. Otherwise, it is not a palindrome. So if I have to give you some pseudo code, so the best thing about this approach, if we are going to iterate from the first and the last, we don't have to iterate the whole string again. We can halve the string and we can reduce the iteration number. So if we have a 7-letter string, we can iterate it 3 times, and the iteration would be 3 from the beginning, 3 from the end. For this, I'm taking two iterator, the one with I. Let me remove this. We don't need to use this. So I, which is 0 at initial state, we have j in that I'm using the length of that string -1, because in any string it starts from 0, and this value gives us the length of that string. Okay,
Yeah. Anmol,
so
before we
now
proceed further, let me add something over this like explanation of this approach.
mhm,
So just a bit like why we doing the half? Like if you have a string of length, considering the length of like 3 ABA, if you consider this like length as ABA, the string as ABA, so in this we can imagine is like if we have this string, we have
so this is
a
your
on the
yes.
both side. Yeah, if we have this string, because we know we if we have this string we can say whether the current half, like the first half of the string, is equal to the reverse of what Anmol has did in the first approach. So we are not checking for whole string as a reverse one, but what we are trying to achieve is, let's do half of the current string, reverse it, and check whether that is available in the another half of the string. So that will help us to not iterate over the full string, but we can able to achieve this by just iterating over the half of the strings. So that is what Anmol is trying to like tell you now.
And in Python, we have a function. In fact, like we can double divide any value, any string, and string length. It will give us the integer value of that length. So if I use single divide, it might give me 3.5, 4.5, any fraction value, but I don't iterate in a fraction value. I have to iterate in an integer value only. So I'll use double backslash. It will give me that integer value. So if the value length is 7, then it will iterate to up to 3 length. So now we are iterating from length of the half of length of the string, from beginning with the help of I, and from the end with the help of j. Now I'll just do one thing. I'll compare that every character from the beginning and the end with each other, which will at I, and I'll compare it with string of j. So what it will do, it will just compare the first value, which is a, and the last value a. So when we have the value, it is equal, then what we have to do, we have to increase the iteration from the beginning. So now that I will move to the second index, which is b. So we'll add 1 to I, and when j is at last a, we have to move that j to the second last element, which is b. So we have to remove one value from the j as well for iteration. So we'll do
Yeah, so
this.
basically we are just trying to compare first and the last rank, and if they matches, we increases the index from first side, you can say left side, and decrease the index from the right side, so that we can come closer to the middle, because we have already splitted the string in half. So that's how we are completing both the ends of the string by coming closer to the middle.
Yes.
And if any
So
of the indexes are doesn't matches, like for let's say like last index of the left and the right side, it doesn't match, then it's not a palindrome, because from there itself we come to know, okay, the sides are not equal, so it's not a palindrome.
So we
Yeah.
can directly just check if these values are equal. We are checking, we are iterating from the left and the right. And if it is not equal, we can directly return our function that it is not a palindrome. We are returning false. If this condition execute in the for loop, it won't go on else. Then we'll return true that our whole string is iteration has returned. We have been iterated to its required length, and now it is a palindrome because it is does not go on the false statement.
Yeah.
So if I run this program, you can see all the test cases have been passed. Yes, finally. So the
That's
complexity
nice.
for this question is, if I have to do, it's big of n. It is a time complexity. Time complexity is big of n, and the space complexity is big of 1. So these are the complexity of this logic optimized version of palindrome check. And
Yeah.
do you want to add anything else here, Nikhil?
Yeah, just a small thing, like you might be wondering why this is a better solution, but it has also the time complexity of big O of n, because the first approach we tried was also having the complexity of big O of n, but this solution has a better complexity, because in this case at line number 6 you can say our loop is not running to the length of whatever the string input string is, but it is running till what the size of the string divided by 2. So this code will only execute to half of the string length. So that will optimize it. But since for calculating the complexity, we don't consider the constant, so we just like simply exclude that like it's n by 2, it's only n, but it's actually better than our previous solutions. So
That's
that
a great
that's
point to
how we
add, Nikhil.
calculate
Yeah.
it. And we consider it, yeah, this one is a better approach than previous one.
And in the previous approach, we have used the reverse function, the brute force one.
Yeah.
It has n log n complexity. The overall complexity would be n log n, and here the complexity is n. So yeah, this is a
Yes.
better approach. And if you do this, your interviewer won't ask you another question. They'll be happy.
Yes.
So yeah, that's all for this question, and we'll be back with some other solution of any algo expert problem.
Yeah. We hope this solution will help you out in your interview
And
questions.
if you have any doubt, please let us know. We'll be happy to help on our LinkedIn or YouTube. Just comment it out.
Cool. See you then. We'll meet you some another
Bye.
time.